want to get back to the Detroit Lions, and we'll talk about some of the injuries that are going on, some of the guys that won't be in action this week. But let's stick with how they were able to win. We've been talking about it, the run game. Establish the run game. 55 shots for Jared Goff against Tampa Bay. That wasn't that type of football. That wasn't the football that they want to play. Looks like they went back to the run. You look at the stat. If you're viewing at home, you see the board right now. The NFL's first running back duo since 2006 to each produce 70-plus scrimmage yards in each of the team's first 3 games of the season. That's a very specific stat, but it's a stat that I will take. They're finding ways to use David Montgomery as well as Jahmyr Gibbs. And one of Maz's favorite, my man Brian Baldinger, who loves the Detroit Lions. I think he's a fan of the way that they ran the ball last week. Get that Baldy breakdown on there.
Sorry, the Baldy break.
The Lions got back to running the football against the Cardinals. And I saw something here from Frank Ragnow, the center, that you never see. See that wide 3 technique? Watch Frank Ragnow get out and hook him. Like, you never see this. Like, you cut that defense off in half, Glasgow gets up, Decker's doing his thing, and Montgomery gets busy. Hard guy to tackle, right? Difficult guy to get down to the ground. You're going to see more of that later. Then you watch the inside trap from Zeitler. All right? Zeitler's a powerful dude, man. Like this inside trap, but the key to the trap isn't necessarily the trap. The key is the passover. All right? So you watch Glasgow passing over and Decker passing over. You got to pass over flat to get to those linebackers, and then Gibbs busts it. All right? 14 yards. Nice call. Then you get this. You get the extra tackle, Skipper, Sewell, right? And Zeitler. Like, at some point, you can only hold this dam so long. Watch Gibbs how patient he is. Eventually, the dam's going to open up. You get all those bodies leaning on you. And then this. You watch this right here. Like, this is just beautiful football. All right? Zeitler, Sewell right here. Bam. And you just get this hole. I mean, that's just, you just move big bodies, right? It's beautiful stuff. And then, I don't know, like this right here, you're going to get Montgomery going up the middle here. Like, this is just unbelievable because the Cardinals junk it up in here. Like, Montgomery doesn't, he's just looking for some daylight and he sees it. Now you're going to see something you just never see. Like, the Cardinals are all going to hit Montgomery. He's strong. But watch his feet. They literally lift him up off the ground. Now he's up. Now they're carrying him. Like, look at this. Like, he's off the ground. It's like he's at a concert. And they're just, he's in the crowd. And he goes for 16 yards, 8 of them while his feet were up off the ground. Lions moved the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, that's what you want to see from the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff had 23 passing attempts. Between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, they had 39 rushes. That's how the Lions are going to win games.
Better than 55 attempts.
100%. Quick thought, Matt.
It's a complete flip. Yeah. I mean, they 27 rushes with 55 passes 2 weeks ago. Last week, they flip it. Yeah. 43 rushes, 23 passes, and they go from a 7+ time of possession advantage to a 13+. They basically double their time. They should have won that game against Tampa Bay if you look just at the statistics. But because they threw the ball, because they got away from the run game is the only reason that they lost that game last week, in my opinion.
I'd be remiss to say that
horrible play calling too.
Speaking of Frank Ragnow, who last year, you can say what you want to, I thought he was the MVP of the offense. When Frank Ragnow played, that offensive line when he didn't play, they didn't win games. Partially torn pec, and he is week to week per Ian Rappaport. Sources say Pro Bowl All-Pro center Frank Ragnow suffered a partially torn pec, making him week to week a brutal reality for one of the NFL's toughest players who injured it at the very end of the game.
That sucks.
But he'll be playing. Come on, he's a warrior. We all know he's going to be in a lineup on Monday, excuse me.
Anson, and that's why I'm not making too much of it. Maz, the offensive line, as good as it can be, is how this team goes. What say you about the offensive line as of right now? Because Frank Ragnow will be fine. And I actually saw Dave Montgomery talking about this. He said, it was funny. When they picked me up, he said, I was laughing the whole play. I wanted to send it on the show, but he said he was laughing the whole play. Offensive line, this has been the mainstay for the Detroit Lions.
Ragnow hurt is very damaging. He says he's going to play through it, and there have been players to play through it. I mean, Chris Spielman did it back in the 90s. He played linebacker. It's just a different position than snapping the ball.
Everybody did it in the 90s, Maz.
Exactly. I don't know, man. This guy he's a walking injury. the man is a warrior. He plays through all his injuries. That's why you see Dan Campbell at the presser on Monday, and he looked down, although he was talking positively about his team, because in the back of his mind, we didn't know at the time that Frank Ragnow had this injury. It came out after the Monday press conference yesterday. So it's going to be tough for him to play through this the whole time. Graham Glasgow might have to shift over to center, and they're going to have to be other guys that step up. Maybe Colby Sorsdahl is going to get some extra time in there. Dan Skipper is going to get some extra time in there. They've got the depth, but to replace a Frank Ragnow is almost impossible to do. I hope that they can survive this injury. I hope they take it easy on him. I hope that the Lions can get out in front of people and then maybe rest him, get him out of there. That would be the ideal thing. And after this Monday night game, they have the week off. If they can get away with not playing him on Monday night, give him 2 full weeks to heal, I think that would be a lot better than him going out there and fighting for his life on Monday night against the Seahawks, who have beaten the Lions. Listen to these numbers. They have beaten the Lions 9 of the last 10.
Yikes.
And 6 straight times. The Seahawks, that was a Pete Carroll. This is what Mike McDonald now. He's got those Seahawks at 3-0 coming off that Michigan sideline there, Anson.
Yeah, 100% Mike McDonald. Shout out to the University of Michigan. They're 3-0. They're a damn good team. And Geno Smith, he just doesn't seem to make mistakes when he plays
Looks
here.
great this year.
He does, but when he plays here, when he plays in Ford Field, he just doesn't seem to make mistakes. So keep your eyes on that. But that offensive line, man, you bring up a valid point. It's early in the season to already be talking about this. Frank Ragnow, he toughed out last year. I don't need to see Frank Ragnow sitting on the sideline against the Seattle Seahawks. We need Frank Ragnow for the Seattle Seahawks. So whatever he can do, but the training staff has done a good job over the last 3-4 years. They play players when they can. They play players and they make sure they give them their rest. Amon-Ra St. Brown last year, he set out a game. Dave Montgomery set out a game. Jameer Gibbs. So they pick and choose their spots. Frank Ragnow set out too.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, didn't he have a torn pec last year?
He did.
And it cost him the entire year.
He had a fully torn pec.
Right, and it cost him the entire year until the final game of the season. And he really never recovered from that. We never saw the real C.J. We never did. Frank Ragnow on the offensive line with a torn pec. Bray, I don't even know if I have pecs. A torn pec. I mean, really.
You might have a pec.
That's got to be painful as hell. Put
the
shoulder pads on.
Different positions, different things. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, if he would have partially torn his pec, I don't think it would have affected him as much. Frank Ragnow's a guy that operates in the trenches. Frank Ragnow, he's pushing guys. He's trying to block guys, and that's where that pec comes in when you're pushing, like doing a bench press, you know what I'm saying, trying to get that chest right. So we'll see, but he is as tough as nails. And this is where you rely on Brad Holmes. This is where you rely on the moves that they made. This is when you rely on the guys that they brought in. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Like I said, they're taking it a day at a time. So are we, KG.
No, and this is built on depth. Like, that was the calling card of this Lions team the whole year. We always said if somebody goes down, it's next man up. So, but in the Frank Ragnow case, and I know the guy's a warrior. Like, please, we definitely understand. He's been through so many injuries. He's almost like a veteran, but he's less than 30, and he's been through all these injuries, man. So I would just caution the Lions, and they've done a good job, like you said, of managing injuries. They're not going to rush people back if they don't need to, but we have the whole season ahead of us. This is only week 4, so you got a bye week coming up. It's an early bye week. I suggest you maybe take that time, rest them for this game, because I mean, as much as we want to beat the Seahawks, it's not must win. You can take that 3-week span, hopefully have them back for that Cowboys game, but I'm just looking ahead. You know, we got a lot more football left to play, and you don't want him struggling through something like a torn pec all year long.
2 losses in the NFC would be tough, but you're right. It is early. They can rebound. They can bounce back. Let's go on to the other side of the ball. You look at these injuries. Lions made some roster moves. They placed Marcus Davenport on the IR. This is one of those things. They placed Marcus Davenport on the IR.
Surprising.
Derek Barnes. But here's where Brad Holmes, if there was any poking or any prying at something small, it's the drafting and the signing of injured players. This since 2 years in a row, we got burned. Last year, Emmanuel Mosley, first play. What happened?
No. Wait. Last year and this year, Emmanuel Mosley.
100%. That's
twice.
My
and
apologies.
Davenport hasn't been healthy for 5 years.
He was playing real well the first 3 games.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's done that for the last 5 years.
That's
for
the story
first
on
3
it.
games, he's played real well. You know, this team was so desperately in need of a bookend for for Hutch, and they went and, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
They went and saved money when they had it. This was a great offseason in terms of free agent defensive end, rushers, and they struck out. And, one of my best friends that really gives me a lot of great insight hated this move.
Yeah, I did.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I mean, I'm just going to be double down on what you said. This is a guy that a regime that really tries to save money in resurrecting guys' careers that have shown something but haven't been able to stay healthy. And it's starting to I know we've hit on a couple of guys, but now it's starting to equal out. And when you get a guy that's kind of your 46th man in that kind of a mold, I don't have an issue. But when you go out and you hire guys that you're hanging your hat on being your number 2 corner, your number 2 D end, and they don't play but 2-3 games for you, it's a real problem.
Yeah, and this was what happened when you try to cut the corners a little bit. This is when you become the smartest man in the room. And look, I'm not saying anything negative about Brad Holmes. At the end of the day, he deserves what he deserves. In this instance, it's should we have gone a different route? KG, I want to come to you. Maz, I want to ask you this as well. There's a certain defensive end in the NFL who made a comment last year about potentially coming home and playing for the Detroit Lions, said this would be the team that I want to play for. And everybody kind of laughed it off last year. That'll never happen. Well, here we are, the second year removed. Max Crosby, the noise, $38 million that you've saved, that you have on the books. Could Max Crosby be a move? And we want him.
Yeah.
But could it be a real move is the question I'm asking.
I would absolutely love that, but I have to say no.
What's the asking price?
First and a second?
I don't know. But either way, I just feel like it would be too much. He's somebody that even if you traded for him, you're looking at signing this guy long term.
$23 million.
Exactly.
Ticket.
That's true, but we have to worry about what we got ahead of us. We still have to sign Hutch. If Aleem balls out this year, you might want to re-sign Aleem McNeil as well. So I think there's other options for the Lions. Max Crosby would be great. Don't get me wrong. That would be an absolutely devastating move, a person to add.
Duo, baby.
Yeah, to add to this D-line. But there are other players that you can look at, and they did keep the cap space in order to, have some flexibility in case they needed to make a move. That's why you take a swing at a Marcus Davenport. Okay, cool. That didn't work out towards the trade deadline. Maybe we can look for a Trey Hendrickson, somebody that's in a contract dispute, a distressed asset, somebody that's looking for, or maybe that you can use as a rental instead of giving a full contract to since you're chasing the Super Bowl.
Man, isn't this what it's about? Like, isn't this what it's about? It's about building your team in a certain way in which you're there, you're competing, you're going for it. And that's what Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell have done for the Detroit Lions. And now we're sitting in a space, and Ryan says this all the time, you don't know what tomorrow is. Yep. You're in the space now. Isn't this the perfect opportunity for Brad Holmes to completely mind us and actually go after Max Crosby and make that the move? How often are we going to be in this space? We know we're a good team. But being the best team in the league, that doesn't happen every year.
What would the Raider fans do? They would.
Well, they're fake Raider fans anyway. They're Vegas now.
I understand. Yeah, they're not in Oakland anymore.
Yeah.
But Max Crosby is probably the impossible dream.
It
would be wonderful. The Raiders aren't doing anything. They're not going to do anything for the next bunch of years. But to take that guy off that team, and then on the offensive side, to take the wide receiver,
Devontae,
and send him over to the Jets, so you get your 2 best players and get rid of them. I can't see it. There's Hassan Reddick out there. I don't see him fitting as a Lion. He's not a Lion type guy.
I don't think so either.
What happened with Marcus Davenport wasn't a recurring injury. His elbow, did you see the injury? It snapped.
Yeah.
The offensive
Marcus
lineman,
Davenport is a recurring injury.
I understand that, but not his elbow. It just is a freak injury.
Yeah.
It was a freak injury, and the guy was balling.
Yeah.
He was when he was in that game.
He made a difference.
He was making a difference. Now it's time for guys like Josh Pascal and James Houston to step up. They're not going to go out and get free agents. They're just not. That's not the kind of team they are. But it would be a great dream, Bray, and it would shock us. Yes, it would definitely shock us if they went out and got anybody else to come in here. I think they got the guys. They just got to make them play, and they got to play their best. Pascal and Houston, it's time to come on down, as they say on Price is Right.
We're up against a break, I know, but I got to throw this in here. As great as that fantasy is, as much as you're bringing them back to Detroit, we've never seen anything from this regime that would indicate that they are trying to swing for the fences with a trade like this. So I'd love to see it. I don't think it ever happens, though.